Hello everyone, and today we're back into another top 10, and we're going to be talking about the top 10 Tech Loomians in Loomian Legacy. So these will only count the Tech Loomians that I have used in battle. So if there are other Tech Loomians that I haven't used, they might be top 10 on y'all list. So let's head right onto this top 10. So number 10 onto the list is actually going to be Cyborg. And it's going to be the secret ability Handy Cyborg. Because you can run all support moves on this Cyborg and then run Bag of Tricks. The reason why Handy Cyborg is so good is because it has solid attack on both sides and Bag of Tricks. And since Bag of Tricks is considered a support move, you could actually make it always go first. So you can hypnotize the Loomian, barter heavy shackles the Loomian, and then power focus, and then you could do some massive damage with Bag of Tricks. It isn't the most reliable Loomian because you do have to rely on a random move to hit, but since it does have that threat, it could actually KO any Loomian in the game, considering that it goes first. The only problem is, if you don't get a good move from Bag of Tricks, it's not a very good attacking Loomian. It does have some stuff going for it, though. It can hypnotize Loomians, and it can trade heavy shackles to other Loomians, which is always very nice. And the fact that it has Bag of Tricks just adds icing on the cake. And that's why Cyborg is number 10 in the top 10 Tech Loomians list. So, yeah, it's pretty good. Number 9 onto this list is actually going to be Copperage. And I'm talking about Copperage in general. This Loomian, it might be one of the best driving force Loomians in the entire game, probably besides Wobbless. It has 90 melee defense and 66 HP, and with Drop of Youth, this thing can be extremely scary. This is a driving force Loomian with Rejuvenate. There aren't many driving force Loomians with Rejuvenate in this game, and since it has Drop of Youth, it actually has more bulk on the range side compared to its evolved form, Oxydrake, which definitely makes Copperage a solid option as a driving force user. While Oxydrake is the better Loomian because it has more bulk and it hits harder, Copperage is the better driving force Loomian because of the extra range bulk I talked about. It also can run Oxidize, which can give it a melee defense increase when hit by a metal or water type move, which can definitely help in battles. Once you get a couple bulk ups, you're pretty much unstoppable to beat on the melee side, and that can make Copperage one of the hardest Loomians to take out. Copperage is one of the best driving force Loomians in the game, and it definitely deserves to be number 9 on this list. It's not amazing as it can die easily and it doesn't hit that hard, but it's extremely bulky and it's really good at forcing Loomians out. Number 8 onto this list is actually going to be Defensive Submarine. So, I'm running the terrifying one with no speed because I'm running Baffle on this set. It doesn't have the highest defenses, but if you run Robust Clever, this thing has 120 HP. So if you put TPs into your bulk, this thing is extremely bulky on both sides, making it really hard for it to actually get KO'd. It's kind of a Tyrex alternative if you think about it, except the coverage is different. Instead of Metal Earth, you can have Metal Water, Electric Water, so there's more options there. Plus, this thing also has Baffle, which actually makes Submarine a very solid Baffle user. It can also run Sharpen if you want to set up and destroy Loomians as a tanky wall breaker, but I mainly use this as a Baffle user with Health Amulet. And while it doesn't have any way to heal, and it does have a lot of really bad weaknesses, at least compared to Tyrex, it is a very good alternative, and can be very scary once you get a couple Aqua Jaws off. This is definitely one of the best Tech Loomians in the game, and this can do some serious work. And it definitely deserves to be number 8 on this list. So yeah, number 7 on this list is actually going to be Sear Knight. And it's going to be Armor Down Rageful Plushie Sear Knight. Because Sear Knight with Armor Down is not the greatest thing in the world, but if you combine the Rageful Plushie with it, it becomes really scary. It has more weaknesses with its dual typing, and while it does have a couple quad resistances, Those more weaknesses can actually help you in this case. If you're hit by a super effective melee move, you will usually survive the hit, and then you can armor down. At +2, Sear Knight can be extremely scary as a sweeper. And while you do lose Metal Stab by clicking armor down, you have very good coverage. You still have Soaring Steel to hit Loomians. You have Flaming Kick, you have Slap Down, and you have Mega Punch, which is really good coverage for Sear Knight after an armor down. Another reason for slapping items down makes it insane as well, because Slap Down can actually do more damage to Loomians that have items, so Sear Knight can really sweep late game with its awesome coverage, especially if you get the Rageful plushie coming off. Even if you don't get Rageful plushie activated, you still outspeed everything in the game, and that's what makes Sear Knight a very good Tech Loomian, and that's why it's number 7 on the list. Number 6 onto the list is actually going to be Melee Duskit. Melee Duskit's interesting because there are some people that do use it, especially as a mixed Loomian, but as a full-on Melee Loomian, this might honestly be better than ranged Duskit. It has Outburst, which can hit those pesky Ancient types, which that's fantastic on its own. The fact that you can hit Ancient types and Obsidragon super effectively, yeah, makes Duskit pretty scary. Although, it doesn't have the highest melee attack, and it doesn't have an ability to increase its attack, it has something else. Fade Away. This thing has Fast Pivot, which is basically fantastic. If the opposing Loomian or opposing team does not have a Eclipse, you can pivot out of a really bad matchup, deal some chip damage, and then go into something else. It's actually one of the best fast pivot Loomians in the entire game. It also has priority with Shadow Sprint, very good stab with Cerebral Slash, and like I said earlier, Outburst hitting Ancient types makes Melee Duskit a very solid Loomian. It's not amazing, but it might be better than the ranged Duskit. It's actually really, really good. You can also run Raging Flame with it as well, but it's very hard to utilize because you do have to drop one of your moves. But yeah, Melee Duskit, one of the best Tech Loomians in the game. Number 5 on this list is actually going to be Christmas Cradle. And we're talking about Chilled Specialty Boots Cradle. With Nimble 200 speed TPs, you outspeed Hunter by 2 speed. Yes, with Specialty Boots and Nimble 200 TPs, you outspeed Hunter. And this thing can hit a lot of Loomians very hard. I mean, Ice Earth is awesome with Plant. That is very good offensive coverage. You can hit pretty much any Loomian in the entire game. With the Chill ability, your Raging Tackle gets buffed a lot, so you just one-shot most air types. Most air types just die in one hit besides Stratosaur, which is fantastic. And nobody sees Christmas Cradle coming, because no one really expects it to have boots. No one really expects Christmas Cradle to do some work. People just think, oh, it's a random pre-evolved Loomian you add on your team. And then it outspeeds that Snagoop and Zeppelin, and then, oh boy, that thing just nuked one crucial Loomian on their team. It's definitely really good against highly offensive teams because it can actually just destroy most of them in one hit. It isn't higher, though, because it gets walled by tanky Loomians, but it's still a very good Tech Loomian and definitely deserves to be in the top 5. Number 4 onto this list is actually going to be Stallnecky. I wanted to add Stallfino on this list, but I found Stallfino way too annoying to add, so I decided to add Stallnecky. Stallnecky, in my opinion, might honestly be better. And while you can be very more annoying with Stallfino, this thing actually has Quicksand, meaning that you can actually trap the opposing Loomian in. So unless they have Pivot, they cannot swap out. You also have Sap Plant just like Stallfino, so you can actually get your HP back, and when combined with Health Amulet, but Stallnecky can do some work, especially if you run defense TPs. It doesn't have the highest defense stats in the world, but if you do give it defense and health TPs, this thing can actually soak super effective hits pretty well, which is kind of strange. It also has Poison. Poison stalling is never the best option, but you know, it's good to get Poison on opposing Loomians. It's always a good option for Beneki in general. And yeah, it's probably one of the most interesting stall Loomians in the game, just because it's a Loomian with faster speed than most tanks, that can actually stall down a lot of Loomians. I mean, it stalls down a Terra Claw, which hits it super effectively, which is kind of insane. It's definitely a really good Tech Loomian, and it definitely deserves to be number 4 onto this list. Number 3 onto this list is actually going to be Offensive Swolder. Offensive Swolder is such a good Tech Loomian that some people actually use this as a main Loomian now. With Mega Punch, Martial Shell, after a Brawn boost, you could 2-shot Stratosaur, which is insane. This thing has a very high melee attack, and with Cruising Venom, if hit by a Toxic-type move, your Toxic-type moves do more damage, which is awesome. Parasitize heals HP back. You could still run Rejuvenate as well, meaning that you can drop a move and run Rejuvenate to gain HP back. And since it has a very high attack, after a Brawn boost, it can do a ton of damage. In that clip, it one-shotted a Ursul after a Brawn boost, which is actually really insane. And in this next clip you're about to see, I'm not sure if it's this one, it's either this one or the next one, I actually defeat an Obsidian. To my defense, I did get a critical hit on the Obsidian, so it did help, but even then, the fact that it actually took out an Obsidian is something that you don't really expect from a melee attacker. The fact that it was able to take out the Obsidian does make Brawn Boost Swolder a very good Tech Loomian and deserves to be in the top 3. Not just with its awesome coverage, but because of the fact that it can Brawn Boost and sweep very easily, especially against tanky teams. Number 2 onto this list is going to be Meme Mochi. Of course Meme Mochi's going to make the list. This is pretty much in all my videos now. Sugar Rush, Clutch Plushie, Return to Sender. And after your Clutch Plushie is used, you outspeed everything in the entire game. Even Gargoleme's speed, which that is pretty insane. Clutch Toda Mochi is insane. The fact that you can use Clutch Plushie, KO a range attacker, and then do insane damage in return while outspeeding everything makes Toda Mochi one of the scariest sweepers in the game. Even funnier, it actually has over 100 range attack, which makes it hit extremely hard for a pre-evolved Loomian. Keep in mind, this is a pre-evolved Loomian, and it has ranged attack over the 100. And its range defense is low enough, meaning that most of the time you will always get your Clutch Plushie used against any ranged attacker, meaning you can one-shot most of them, which is awesome. It also has Ice Brawler coverage and Deep Freeze to hit water types, which just makes Toda Mochi even better. I wanted to put this number 1, but the number 1 Tech Loomian is a lot more reliable than Toda Mochi. But Toda Mochi could definitely be number 1 as well, just because of how clutch it is at the most crucial times. But it still deserves number 2. Number 1 on the list is actually going to be Macoro. Yep, Macoro might be the best Tech Loomian on the list. I could even consider it better than Surkame, but it is a little bit interesting. Surkame is better if you want to run more ranged attacks to actually hit other Loomians. Macoro is better as an overall tank, though. This is a pre-evolved Loomian with insane bulk. You have like 70 plus health and 100 melee defense as a pre-evolved Loomian. When combined with Drop of Youth, Body Crash hits insanely hard. With its secret ability, Quick Recovery, you could soak Hypnotizes and Poisons, and then swap out, and they're gone. You can Brace, you can Rejuvenate, you have Frost, you have Ice coverage and Water coverage if you want it. Macoro might be one of the best pre-evolved Loomians in the entire game, and probably one of the most reliable ones. This Loomian can soak a Timber Thrash Tatub. It could soak a Timber Thrash Tatub hit at full HP. I don't think there's anything else to say. It's one of the best melee tanks in the entire game, especially for a pre-evolved Loomian. And also, the best Tech Loomian in the entire game. Macoro definitely deserves number 1. And here it is, Macoro, the best Tech Loomian in the entire game. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember that Tech Loomians are not always the best Loomians, and are usually used to have fun with the game. So, they're not as good as like Meta Loomians, but they're still extremely fun to use. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see y'all all later. Bye-bye!